Hi friends, welcome back to Calm in the Chaos Homeschool. If you're new here, my name is Davine and I am homeschooling 3.5 kids, I'm going to say. So I'm homeschooling a 6th, 7th, 8th, and a 9th grader. And the half kid is because my 9th grader is in public school part of the time and then she homeschools with us the other part of the time. One of the things I really love to do in my homeschool is study geography. And we've probably been doing geography ever since we started homeschooling like 4 years ago. This is our 5th year of homeschooling. And last year we started Sunlight/Book Shark Level F, which is geography of the Eastern Hemisphere. And as we've been going through, I have been looking for extra books, so supplemental books or different novels and things that we could include in my homeschool. I do teach all 4 of my kids together, so some of the books, the level wasn't right for some of my kids. So I wanted to have a wider range of books for them to choose from that might be more at their reading level, as well as just giving them some choice when it comes to their reading. And so I have been researching different living books, different picture books, and things to go along with each of the sections of the world that we have been studying. So I have done quite a few videos so far. I think we have covered the Middle East, Russia, South Asia, China, Taiwan, Japan, that sort of area. And today I'm going to be talking about Southeast Asia. So Thailand, Cambodia, Laos, what else? Vietnam, those sorts of countries. So today I'm going to be showing you a range of books, from informational books, folk tales, folklore, things like that from the area, as well as picture books, and then some chapter books that my kids are either using as readers or we used as a read aloud. So let's get into the books I have here. So first of all, I'm going to start with just some information books. So we have Countries of the World, Vietnam. And so these books are always really great little information books that my kids have really enjoyed throughout the years. This is very, very simple. And obviously you could look up countries of the world for different countries and probably be able to find a ton from this series. So things like this we often use in our homeschool just as extra information that my kids can look up. So that was really simple. That's more of maybe a 2nd grade reading level. We have All Around the World, Cambodia. And so that's a very simple informational book as well. So it looks like this inside. So another series that you could look for. And we have We Visit Cambodia. This is Your Land and My Land, Asia. There's a table of contents. This one has more information here. So a little bit step up. And I didn't mention, I am looking for probably reading level 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, and higher, but generally I wanted to level down a little bit for some of my kids who struggle a little more with reading, so that is why I do this additional research. Next, I have more of the folklore, fairy tales, and things like that from different areas. So we have All About Thailand, stories, songs, crafts, and games for kids. So this is another series that you can look up. So All About and then a different country. So this has a lot of different things in here. Great places to visit, delicious Thai food, so recipes. What was this? Songkran water days, different festivals, celebrations, things like that. So that's in there. And then we have Vietnamese children's favorite stories. We read a few of these in our morning basket. I always like to pick up folk tales, fairy tales from the nations or the areas that we are studying. So that's what that one looks like. Then we have Thai Children's Favorite Stories, another series we have used a lot in the past year. So we read a few stories from this series as well. All right, and then I have a pile of children's books and picture books here. We have The Most Beautiful Thing. When young Kala wants ice cream, she has to make do with ice cubes from the freezer. When she wants a new dress for the first day of school, her mother gives her a few coins to spend on candy at the corner store. When she wants some meat for dinner, she must settle for a piece of bone that flavors the family soup. Finally, Kalia becomes tired of longing for what she cannot have. When she asks for braces to straighten her crooked teeth, which her family cannot afford, it is her grandmother who helps her see what is truly beautiful. Drawn from author Ko Kiana Young's childhood experience as a Hmong refugee, this moving picture book portrays a family with little money and a great deal of love. Weaving together Kalia's story with that of her beloved grandmother, the book moves from the jungles of Laos to the family's early years in the United States. And a lot of these stories do have the theme of eventually becoming refugees and often ending up in the United States. We have Titan and the Wild Boars, the true cave rescue of the Thai soccer team. One afternoon, young Titan and his teammates from the Wild Boar soccer team went to explore local caves, but when they turned to go home, heavy rains had flooded the cave. They were trapped. News of the boys' situation quickly spread around the world. For more than 2 harrowing weeks, rescuers from around the globe raced to save Titan and his team before time and oxygen ran out. This astonishing true story shows the importance of teamwork and preservation. I feel like I remember when that happened. Eyes that kiss the corners. A young girl notices that her eyes look different from her friends. They have big round eyes and long lashes. The girl realizes that her eyes kiss in the corners and glow like warm tea, crinkle into crescent moons, and are filled with stories of the past and hope for the future. In fact, her eyes are more like her mother's, her amas, and her little sisters, and they are beautiful. Eyes That Kiss the Corner is a dazzling lyrical ode to loving oneself. Joanna Ho's tender yet powerful words and Dong Ho's vibrant illustrations inspire readers to recognize their own beauty and strength, igniting a revolution of self-discovery and confidence. We have the Cambodian dancer, Sophanie's Gift of Hope. The human spirit is a powerful thing. Sophanie was a dancer in her homeland of Cambodia. Dancing and sharing the dance with others brought her great joy. But when the Khmer Rouge took power in her country, all joy was taken away from the once happy land. Sophanie and many others fled Cambodia to start new lives in a new land. Adrift at Sea, a Vietnamese boy's story of survival. It is 1981 in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. A fishing boat overturned with 60 Vietnamese refugees. They have something covering here, so I don't know what it says. The motor has failed. The hull is leaking. The drinking water is nearly gone. This is the dramatic true story recounted by Tan Ho, who was 6 years old when his mother and 2 sisters dodged the bullets of Vietnamese military police for the perilous chance of boarding that boat. The first picture book to describe the flight of the Vietnamese boat people refugees. All right, so it goes on to talk more about the illustrations. So that's what that one looks like. We have wishes, and it says, if you have to leave everything behind and travel by boat across rocky waters to find safe harbor, what would you wish for? In the middle of the night, a family quickly packs up what they can carry and leaves their entire world, traveling to a new and unknown place. The voyage is perilous, but the heart's wishes prevails in this emotional journey of resilience, belonging, and hope. I really like how these picture books look. They're very beautiful. Very simple one here. Okay. In a Village by the Sea. All right, I'm going to read the author's note on this one. In the Village by the Sea was inspired by my father and An Bang, my ancestral village in central Vietnam. For as long as anyone can remember, ancestors on both sides have lived and worked as fisherfolk in this small village near Hue. Typically, the men went to sea in small boats and caught fish and other edible sea creatures. When they returned to land, their wives and daughters carried the fish to the market and sold it, bargaining hard and fast. It was a village proverb that a rich man owed his success to his wife, and that talented fisherman would stay poor as long as his wife was bad at business. A different pond. Family tradition hope. Sometimes a fishing trip is about more than catching fish. Carrying a tackle box and gathering kindling, a boy helps his father catch the family's dinner, and a father helps his child begin to understand the long journey their family has taken. The Paper Boat, a refugee story. A modern fable of family resilience and new beginnings. In December 1980, when Thiao Lim was 2 years old, her parents made the decision to flee war-torn Vietnam. They piled into a small fishing boat, not knowing where they would end up, just knowing they had to leave. It was the only way they could imagine a future for their family, free of the violence that had ripped their country apart. Inspired by their courage, Thou has reimagined their journey for the next generation, interweaving it with a family legend about a colony of ants that led her mother to safety the night she fled Vietnam. Right. So I don't see any words in this one. So this is a wordless book. All right, so next I have a pile more of the chapter book type, though I'm going to start out with something a little different here. So I have Kampang Boy, and this is a graphic, more of a graphic book. It's not exactly a graphic novel, but a graphic book. So this one says, here begins Lat's Kampang Boy series, a timeless favorite of millions of readers in Southeast Asia, available at last in the US. With masterful economy worthy of Charles Schulz, Lat recounts the life of Mat, a Muslim boy growing up in rural Malaysia in the 1950s. His adventures and mischief-making, fishing trips, religious education, and work on his family's rubber plantation. Meanwhile, the traditional way of life in his village, or kampang, is steadily disappearing, with the tin mines and factory jobs increasingly overtaking the village's agricultural way of life. When Matt himself leaves for a boarding school, he can only hope that his familiar kampang will still be there when he returns. So, that sounds really interesting. I have been debating on whether or not I want to do this as a read aloud with my kids. So we'll see if we have time for that. So I'm going to go through and sort of tell you the reading level of these books as we go through. So this one is The Last Mapmaker. Sorry, I have to cover up the title sometimes. Just make sure I don't have like information telling where I live. But this one says, Say has a secret. As assistant to Mang Kong's most celebrated mapmaker, Haiyun Wangya, she plays the part of a well-bred young lady with a glittering future. In reality, her father is a low-life con man, and in a kingdom where the status of your ancestors dictates your social position, no one can know that Say's connection to the past is a single tarnished link. So when Say is given an opportunity to join Haiyun on an expedition to chart the southern seas, she jumps at her chance to sever that link and start a new life. Soon she realizes that there is more to the expedition that meets the eye, and that she's not the only one on board who has secrets. When she learns that the ship might be heading for a fabled Sunderlands, the land of dragons, dangers, and riches beyond imagination, she has to decide exactly what she's willing to risk to chase after her dreams. So, I have a bookmark in here because my daughter has started to read that, so I have one child reading that one. And so for that one, the Lexile level is 740. I will link in the description box below a link to kind of explain the Lexile levels and what that means. Basically, grade level 3 to 7 and reading age around 8 to 12. Then we have Inside Out and Back Again. And this author, I'm not sure how to say her name, Than Lai, she has written a lot of books. Now that I've seen her name, I've seen her name on a lot of books. So specifically about Vietnam and immigration or migration from Vietnam to the US. So this one says, no one would believe me, but at times I would choose wartime in Saigon over peacetime in Alabama. For all the 10 years of her life, Ha has only known Saigon, the thrills of its markets, the joy of its traditions, the warmth of her friends close by, and the beauty of her very own papaya tree. But now the Vietnam War has reached her home. Ha and her family are forced to flee as Saigon falls, and they board a ship headed towards hope. In America, Ha discovers the foreign world of Alabama, the coldness of its strangers, the dullness of its food, the strange shape of its landscape, and the strength of her very own family. This is the moving story of one girl's year of change, dreams, grief, and healing as she journeys from one country to another, one life to the next. All right, so we have that one. And then this one, I believe, is the sequel to that. So it's the same girl, same author, When Clouds Touch Us. I didn't realize it till I was reading the information to my kids. So someday we will own our every hour. For now, we're still reacting to typhoons created by others. When Ha arrived in Alabama as a refugee from the Vietnam War, she was sure she'd never get used to this strange land. But in just 2 years, she has made friends, is earning A's at school, and has found a sense of belonging. So when Mother says they're moving to Texas, Ha is devastated at the prospect of starting over again. Her mother tells her that the sacrifices they make today will lead to a better future. But Ha can't yet see a time when their refugee life will be easier. In Texas, Ha tries to make new friends, but finds herself floating, invisible and unseen, always observing. But Ha is not a girl who lets things just happen to her. And she discovers that sometimes even unwanted change can bring opportunity, new friends, and a place to call home. So this is inspired by Than Ha Lai's own childhood experience, so based on her story. And both of those have so the first one, Inside Out and Back Again, is a Lexile of 800. Grade level 5 to 7, reading age 9 to 12. And then When Clouds Touch Us, this one here is 880, a little higher. Grade level 3 to 7, and then reading level 8 to 12. So pretty much the same for both of those books. Then we have another one by the same author called Listen Slowly, and I haven't managed to get the book of this. I've only managed to get the CDs. So one of my children is listening to the CDs of this, and one of my other children chose to read this one. So this one says, this remarkable novel by Tha Lai, New York Times best-selling author of the National Book Award-winning and Newbery Honor book Inside Out and Back Again, follows a young girl as she learns the true meaning of family. A California girl born and raised, May can't wait to spend her vacation at the beach. Instead, though, she has to travel to Vietnam with her grandmother, who is going back to find out what really happened to her husband during the Vietnam War. May's parents think this trip will be a great opportunity for their out-of-touch daughter to learn more about her culture. But to May, those are their roots, not her own. Vietnam is hot, smelly, and the last place she wants to be. Besides barely speaking the language, she doesn't know the geography, the local customs, or even her distant relatives. To survive her trip, May must find a balance between her two completely different worlds. All right, so more one based on a girl who is born in America and is traveling to her family's homeland and learning what that is like. So that one is 800 Lexile reading level, grades 3 to 7, and then a 9 to 12 reading age. The last one is one that we read as a read aloud. It is the recommended book from Sunlight. So it was The Land I Lost. This is by I can't say these names, I'm sorry, Huang Sheng Nyung. And these are based on true stories that he experienced growing up in Vietnam. And I'm going to read the back, and then I'm going to give you my disclaimers. So, Huang Quynh Nguyen grew up in the highlands of Vietnam next to a jungle teeming with wildlife. Encounters with tigers, wild hogs, and deadly snakes were as much a part of his life as tending the rice fields on the back of his pet water buffalo Take. Here are 15 tales that will transport you into a world of lush beauty and terrible danger, and a way of life that is gone forever. Now, I'm going to tell you that this is scheduled as a read aloud for a very good reason. we were reading this book, and I don't try to shy away from a whole lot of things with my kids. However, this book was a little bit hard and a little bit shocking at times. If you expect a book that people don't die in or doesn't have like some graphic details, this is not the book for you. It looks very, like the print is very large, and so it looks like something you might just like hand to your fourth or fifth grader. I would say don't do that unless your children, I don't know. Beware with sensitive children. Animals are killed, people are killed. Yeah, so these are true stories. They are not watered down. And sometimes I was reading and I couldn't catch myself in time to edit a little bit, and it was a bit shocking. So that is a warning for that book. It does have a high Lexile reading level, so that could have been part of the reason why it's a read aloud, but I think it's really just because of the very sensitive topics and the different stories that come up. So the Lexile reading level was 1090, so pretty high. The age level is 8 to 12, and the reading level grade-wise was 2 to 5. Yeah, 8 to 12, I would say definitely on the higher age for that. My youngest is 11, and he is not super sensitive. He thinks it's kind of funny. But like my 12-year-old and 13-year-old and 15-year-old were a little uncomfortable at times with this. And I mean, they are true stories. They are things that really happened. It shows like what life is like in a Vietnamese village. But if you have sensitive kids, it could possibly not be their favorite, and just don't be surprised when things sneak up on you in this book. So that's my warning on that book. So those are the books that I have sort of access to and have my kids access to while we are studying Southeast Asia. I hope that's helpful in your own studies of the world and world geography, and getting some ideas of picture books and chapter books that you might want to use with your kids. If you like videos like this, don't forget to give me a like and subscribe if you haven't already. If you want to see all my other book like flip throughs and things like that regarding world geography, I will link that link in the description box below so you can see my playlist. Thank you so much for coming today, and I hope to see you all in a future video. Bye, everyone.